I mean, my computer is stuck under my desk. I don't have many RGB bits on it, but I've got a few.
What are you talking about? What's RGB? What are you talking about?
This is RGB.
Red, green, blue.
Yeah, the lights. RGB lights. You have RGB under your bed, don't you?
Yeah, and hydraulics, like those cool cars.
Like a lowrider.
Yeah. And that's just for me. At the end of a busy day, I'm like, right, I'm gonna.
Would you like imagine it being like a horse, or like trotting along? Like,
no, I'm just
or just up and down.
I just like being thrown around the bedroom, Duncan. And the easiest way to make that happen is to automate it.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Short Fuse. I'm Duncan Robertson. I'm here with Ollie O'Donoghue. Say hi, Ollie.
Hello.
You a bit cheerful this morning?
Yeah, cheerful. Yeah, quite cheerful, I suppose.
You're going for a haircut soon?
I'm going for a haircut. I'm going for a haircut in about an hour.
And a beard trim?
And a beard trim.
Yeah.
A beard trim. They upsold me.
Yeah.
They said you can't keep looking like that.
Did that just appeal to your economic brain?
Well, I didn't want to pay extra. But I mean, this barber's very, very good salesman. Like he really was just like, look, you look like a disgrace. And I'm not going to keep cutting your hair because you're a bad advertisement for me. People see you leaving here, and they'll think, God, they churn out some.
Yeah,
some
but now you've done it once. This is the thing: recurring purchase, mate. It's going to look so good that you'll never be able to do it yourself anymore.
Yeah, well, they do say that a beard trim is the heroin of the middle-aged.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I do it myself, as you can tell. Anyway, now we are now we've got to about 14 listeners. I think it is something like that. It's pretty big deal these days. We are going to be debating the concept of going viral, considering we have pretty much, I'd say, I don't know about you, Ollie, but I'd say we've gone viral.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's all relative, isn't it? If,
You've gone from 0 to 14, that's like
it's a massive increase.
Yeah.
It's a massive increase.
Many hundreds percentage. We've done maths before. I'm not doing maths.
And viral is in the eye of the beholder, isn't it? I mean, if you're on an island of 10 people and 9 of them have the virus, that's pretty viral.
Yeah, that is pretty viral. Anyway, okay. Right, so we're going to be talking about the concept of going viral. And in today's, what's the word? In today's landscape of artificial intelligence, dead internet theory that we spoke about in a previous podcast, is it still possible to go viral? And is going viral a good or bad thing? So, Ollie, I am going to be very, very strict with you here. I want a vote, and I want it now, and I don't want any ballyhoo around the vote. I just want the vote, reason, stop.
That's outrageous.
No, it's not outrageous. No, I'm the one doing the talking. Get on with it.
So you do all of the talking on this podcast. I just go like short, and that's it. That's my
no.
That's not what the people.
No,
want.
I meant I'm talking now, which means I get to control.
Oh, I see. I see.
Go.
All right.
Stop faffing.
Well, the listeners want this. I want to be on one of those ASMR videos. Yeah, listen to me.
Yeah.
I am short going viral. I think it'll be harder. I also don't like it, so I hope it'll be harder.
That's bringing emotion into a cold, hard, bet.
Yeah,
is
sometimes
that
that's
wise?
fine. Sometimes that's fine. Sometimes you're allowed to.
All right, fair enough. So you're short. You're short on going viral.
Yeah, I'm short. So for logical reasons, I'm short in that I think it'll be harder because of personalized content being pushed towards you.
So you don't think things will be going viral anymore?
Not to the same extent. The same extent. I think the idea of millions of people hoovering up the exact same video and cultural moment will be harder. It'll be slower. Like you may get there eventually, but if let's just throw the AI thing straight out there. If AI is pushing content more accurately to what I want and what you want, Duncan. And the hope would be that those things are a little bit separate from each other. Than the idea that we would stumble across the same video or same piece of content that would make it go viral.
See, I'm long. And that's not because I like going viral. It's not because we have, we're basically the next big thing in
we're
podcasts.
Part of the success story of going viral already.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm long on it for a variety of reasons. But I agree with you that things are changing. But going back to the kind of the dead internet theory thing that we spoke about in our episode on whether the internet has legs or not, I do think that there's going to be more and more AI slop, as it's been kind of called, and the internet is essentially becoming enshittified, right? To coin Cory Doctorow's phrase, where it's just getting more and more useless, essentially, and full of rubbish. And I think that things will almost become more viral if they are different from that AI slop, stand apart, more personalized, more human, almost, as the internet becomes more and more, it becomes worse, basically. And I can't see the internet getting better and more culturally rich. So I think there will be fewer aspects of going viral, but I think those will almost be more powerful.
I could buy into that. So I could buy into those big, authentic moments.
Yeah.
I just think there'll be less of them. I think, like I said, there'll be so much more content out there, for better or for worse, enshittified and good. And it'll be funneled towards people more accurately than ever before. I did a little bit of research into the first instances of going viral, because obviously we assume it's all kind of like Instagram and TikTok. Yeah, exactly. A modern thing. And actually it dates back. So I think the first use of the phrase going viral was in the 80s, but examples of things going viral for better or for worse stretch right back. And here's one example from the 19th century, which I think is absolutely fantastic. And just to give it a little bit of context before I read this out, this was circulated for over 24 years between 1836 and 1860 by virtue of a mechanism in the United States, and well, in fact, a lot of global media, which is where newspapers could syndicate content from each other, kind of free of charge. So global news would spread quickly. So if you had a story in Boston that was relevant to people in California, let's say, through a system of exchanges, that story would be allowed to be reprinted in that newspaper. So they didn't have to send their journalists over to Boston to find out what was going on. The information would be shared. So it was kind of quite a good vessel for sharing information around, in the same way that we have social media today, but not at the same scale and speed, obviously. The author of this particular piece, called Interesting Statistics, which, like I say, was shared a lot over a 24-year period, is only known as a gentleman claiming to be a friend of the human race, which is good. So that's
how you refer to yourself a lot, isn't it, Ollie?
I do not claim to be a friend of the human race.
The opposite.
Right. Yeah, at all. Yeah, I'm a scourge of the human race. I describe myself. And it says, so a gentleman claiming to be a friend of the human race and who keeps the run of facts, figures, and babies has just laid before an inquiring world the
and
following
babies
and babies.
Well, that doesn't even fit.
It's called out specifically. He keeps the run of facts, figures, and babies.
I often talk about facts, figures, and Wow, that's weird.
It is.
Carry on.
Gets weirder. Definitely. And again, can't stress this enough. Circulated a lot over a 24-year period.
Yeah.
It went viral. So he's laid before an inquiring world the following interesting statistics. So strap yourselves in, everyone. The whole number of languages spoken in the world amounts to 3,054,587 in Europe, only 936 in Asia, 276 in Africa, and 1,264 in America. So that seems valid to me. That seems well researched.
Yeah. I mean, those 3 million European languages.
Yeah,
3 million of them. Yeah,
and everyone else is basically just like.
It depends if you count, like, I don't know, if you count like Scouse and Brummie as a different language to English. I don't know.
Yeah, it should be. Should be. The inhabitants of our globe profess more than 1,000 different religions. This is a real barnstormer, this one. The number of men is about equal to the number of women. It's good to know. The average of human life is about 33 years. And this is where it gets really, it's actually incredibly difficult to read. But I'm gonna take a run up at it. 1/4 part die previous to the age of 7 years, and 1/2 before reaching 17 years of age. And those who pass this age enjoy a felicity refused to 1/2 of the human species. To every one person, only one reaches 100 years of life. To every 100, only 6 reach the age of 76. And not more than 1 in 5,000 live to 90 years of age.
Well, this gentleman who's a friend of the human race, bearing in mind this in the 19th century?
Yep. Yeah.
He's got access to a lot of data here, isn't he?
An incredible amount of data.
Yeah.
Incredible amount of data. And presumably people just weren't that fussy about details back then. Because I think if you said Europe is 3 million languages, America, which by this point would be relatively sparsely populated, is 1,264. Asia and Africa barely scrape 1,000 between them.
Yeah.
And like I say, over 24 years, this has just been reprinted and reprinted and reprinted and reprinted across a
so
range
it's like
of different...
it's like going viral, but it's also like just a massive troll, like posting stuff to just be annoying.
I'd assume it's a troll. You know, it may be genuine. Look, there are a lot of people out there that do believe themselves to be friends of the human race and have, facts and figures that they're willing to share on that.
Or with that introduction, possibly an alien. And
that's, when I first started reading it, that's kind of my thinking.
Yeah.
Was that it's an alien, or specifically someone who thinks they're an alien.
Yeah. So those viral moments. So I guess that's part of virility. No, virility. Something very
something
different.
else.
Something very different.
Virulency.
Yeah. Part of going viral is to do with algorithms, right? So this is popular. I'm going to push this out. It becomes the snowball effect, and popular things become more popular and more popular. So I think that if the algorithms continue to do that, then things will get the things will keep going viral. But what those things will be, it is interesting. Is it going to be human moments? Is it going to be kids being cute? Is there going to be critique of whether things are AI generated or not going viral? So somebody kind of using AI to generate something that looks real but isn't, and then debate over whether that's viral or not. Gosh, we're not going to get into politics in the current state of the world now, but like people doing things wrong and then blaming it on AI. I do think that will happen a lot in the future, where somebody will get caught doing something and then go, "It's not me, it's AI generated."
It's next to impossible to tell, isn't it, what will actually go viral? Because there's a lot of stuff that goes viral, and the let's say the beneficiary would rather they weren't caught doing whatever they were doing. So and other times it's designed. I have to say, like, and this is the personal opinion. Some stuff that goes viral is utterly moronic. Yeah, it's just someone doing something incredibly silly, and it's pushed.
There's that trend of TikTok creators or short form content, people just standing out in the street when the clubs are kicking out or something like that, and just standing and talking to people and trying to get them to say funny things.
Oh, yeah,
or talking to ladies and objectifying them or something like that, and that's where the Hawk Tour girl came from, isn't it?
I was wondering how long it would take.
Yeah,
because if you type in going viral,
Hawk
Tour guys, it comes up as like the case study, who has managed it very well up until
the meme coin.
Yeah, the meme coin. That's absolutely right. And I kind of don't necessarily blame them for that. I wonder how much they're involved in the designing, delivery, of their cryptocurrency. But anyway,
it was just an opportunity to. I guess it's just marketed as an opportunity to continue that fame, or continue to get money, and maybe she's been taken advantage of more than anything. I don't know. I don't know enough about that.
There are hundreds of these currencies that people just, I'm briefly famous, I'm now going to release this little digital object,
and that kind of speaks to like that going viral. If you do go viral, then the rest of your career is just spent trying desperately to cling to that fame, and to try and maintain that somehow.
Well, that's what we're doing now with Series 2 of this podcast, isn't it? Because we did,
Are we on Series 2 now?
I think so. I would call this Series 2.
Okay. All right.
Difficult 1.5.
Difficult second album.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But like my point is, like, so with a lot of this stuff, let's look at the main platforms like TikTok, Instagram, being the classics.
Yeah.
And you look at what makes something go viral. So it is the snowball effect. So people consume it, people engage with it, and then the platform is just like most watched, and it pushes it, and it does a lot of the legwork for you. Very simple system that goes like, a lot of people are watching this now. Everyone should watch it, and it's at the top of the list. My big bet, which is why I'm sure, is that the algorithms that currently lazily push that towards you will be more
refined,
discreet and personalized.
Right.
So I'd be like, well, look, I know Ollie basically consumes short tidbits about financial advice. So this interview with someone outside a nightclub, despite its relative popularity, is not going to get him to click. So there's no point. So we'll continue pushing what we're already pushing towards him, despite him now missing out on the zeitgeist of his time.
I get that, but I think that already happens to an extent. So I don't use TikTok. I don't use Instagram. I don't use Facebook. I use Reddit, and I watch videos on YouTube. And Reddit just basically gives me a bunch of personalized. I've chosen my subreddits that I want to look at. Occasionally, I'll hop over to all and look at what's popular and just feel disgusted with the state of the world. But YouTube also just promotes to me motor racing videos, some gaming stuff, and cars. Basically, that's the entirety of my YouTube kind of feed. So I do kind of miss out on it, but I still think there's an element that we're missing out, which is it's not all about the algorithm. So when a TV show or something gets really popular and goes viral, if that's what that is, then it's that we speak about those water cooler moments where, have you watched Game of Thrones? Or have you been watching this? Have you been watching that? Oh, can you believe that happened? So a lot of it actually is offline as well, and that will still continue.
We talked about this a little bit when we first started working together. I remember this. I remember you were right. Binge had been the name of the game in a lot of media consumption up to that point. So it was like, Squid Games, binge, everyone just would cram as much of it in. And then we started seeing media companies focus on more what they would call moment-focused releases, i.e. like Sunday night. So Monday morning around the water cooler, everyone's talking about the same program. A bit like Traitors in the UK right now. I think it's all over the place. But Traitors in the UK, like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, everyone's talking about it. They're pondering it until they see it again the next time around. And I made the very glib comment that back in the olden days, we just used to call that TV.
Yeah.
It's what you had.
It's
what you had. And that event thing, like that event push, is a very clever marketing tactic. But it's a marketing tactic that isn't playing in the direction that people think it is. So everyone thinks like, oh, it's about events, like water cooler moments. It's not at all. It's to elongate the subscription. So binging is bad. If you're Netflix, binging sucks. So everyone goes onto Netflix, subscribes for a month, binges Squid Games, then unsubscribes. They get their $5.99 or $10.99 or whatever it is now. Or they could drag it out over several.
But then it works in tandem, right? Because the other thing that you could do is wait for them to all be released, spend $5.99, watch them all in one go, and then unsubscribe. But if you do that, you miss out on those water cooler moments.
Yeah.
Because you cannot discuss it at the same time. And everybody's going, like you and somebody else are having with the Traitors at the moment, and I haven't caught up. You can talk about it, and I can't, and I'm desperate to watch. So they both work in tandem with one another. That I was going to say virility again. I've got to stop this.
Just commit to it.
Yeah, this viralness helps platforms get their product and get their product out to people, and that it's popularized both online and in person. When people say, "Have you seen the latest episode of Severance or whatever?" They work in tandem with one another, which is why I think it's not going to go away altogether. I think, as with much of what we discuss, it will change, and the things that go viral in the next kind of phase of whatever the internet or the World Wide Web becomes, it will change what goes viral and what doesn't. But I don't think it's going to go away.
So we're talking about a behavioural thing here, right? So it's a FOMO, fear of missing out, right?
Yeah.
Which is the mechanic underpinning all of that. And if there's one thing behavioural economics tells us, is that people don't act rationally, and specifically, people often choose to act irrationally. So, do you know what one of the biggest trends of 2025 is that's emerging right now that could scupper everything that you've just said?
Well, we're 21 days in, so I want to see. Yeah. That's dated this podcast. So, tell me.
It's like a mindfulness trend, right? Yeah. It's called JOMO, joy of missing out. So relishing in the idea that I don't know what Hawk to a girl is, and that's good. And now I'm, and in some cases I've seen when you look into it, a lot of it is actually kind of like a superiority thing, like those people just like, I actually don't have a TV in my house.
Yeah.
And they think like, that must mean that I'm very erudite and I spend my time reading. Or it could just mean you spend all of your time sitting in the dark, in silence. Like there's the two things aren't linked. But that's a big trend driving right now is joy of missing out. And you're seeing and this is actually a thing that we haven't discussed at all yet, which could scupper the speed of things going viral, which is people moving off the channels themselves. Yeah. So people are turning off of social media for a variety of reasons. There's a big push around mental health. There's a big generational shift too, where people are like, oh, this sucks. I've seen kind of millennials embarrass themselves and never recover from it because it went viral. So I'm gonna make sure I'm not gonna get caught up in that mess, and I won't have TikTok and I won't have Instagram. Even through things like, there was someone in the gym this morning, and I like to bring up my hobby of gymsmanship at any opportunity.
Yes,
I push and pull heavy things these days.
Right,
but someone's
lift them
themselves.
up, you just roll them along the ground.
I shouldn't have to. Yeah, I shouldn't have to lift them out. That's crazy. That's crazy. I've seen, some of the stuff people do in that gym is, it looks dangerous.
Looks tiring.
I don't want to be involved in it. Don't be involved. But there was someone filming themselves, like doing the weights. I guess relatively harmlessly, but people were not happy with what was going on.
Yeah.
So they got called out a couple of times and eventually put their camera away and went.
Yeah.
Because now 2-3 years ago, everyone was filming themselves in the gym. Can you imagine that?
A friend of mine, somebody I know, was filming.
a sweaty, heavily set researcher just there filming themselves. What Instagram feed is that going to be going viral on? But like, it's the example where, like, I think 2-3 years ago, people filmed themselves in the gym, and it was incredibly common, and it was like a big thing. Whereas now, again, people are just like, well, I'm not here to be filmed by you. I'm not here. I'm unhappy with this, and I wonder whether or not. With some of the let's say socio-political environments that we're going to be experiencing over the next 4 years, a lot of high octane debates happen now on these social media channels. And I think a lot of people are just done with it. I found it exhausting 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. I genuinely found it exhausting, and actually the last 4 years have been relatively quiet, which has been enjoyable. And I know a lot of people feel the same way. They're just exhausted by social media.
Yeah.
And if less people are on social media, which is a trend that seems to be taking place, then how can things go viral anymore with the same speed?
I agree with those points, except for the last one. I think that things are going to go more viral because they then mean something. If people are exhausted and they see something, or they're pushed to something through their phones or through a conversation with somebody who just says, have you seen this? Look at this video. It's really funny. Or look at this. Have you watched this TV show or whatever? Then I think they become inherently more meaningful if people like it and are so exhausted by the rest of the discourse on social media that becomes more important and therefore will go more viral. And I think it's a bit like quality, not quantity, right? Things will become more quality viral rather than lots and lots of memes and TV shows and stuff getting out there and becoming insanely popular. So hopefully it will mean I'm being optimistic, but hopefully it'll be for the better. And I do wonder whether these new kind of forms of content that are emerging, be they through kind of artificial intelligence or something, will create new forms of content that will go viral and people... We haven't seen, or I'm sure somebody's created the first AI short film or the first AI film or something like that. But the first AI full-length film that is actually good will probably go viral for that reason. So there will be different reasons why things become popular and spread.
Well, stocks go viral just by changing their ticker to have AI in it.
Yeah.
So you won't believe the same thing happened for when blockchain. So when blockchain went through like this big revival, the amount of retail investors that piled all their money in companies that suddenly had blockchain in their name.
Yeah, and the same goes for the whole
irrational part.
The whole Wall Street bets thing, where it was GameStop. So everybody started investing in GameStop, and that was... You can't predict that kind of thing. And you can't when we're talking about going viral, we've so far talked about memes, TV shows,
Hawk Tuah
Girl,
like the classics.
Yeah, so suddenly we're talking about investing in a stock has gone viral, and everybody's doing it and pushing the price of that stock up. But I don't think you can predict what those kind of things are. So as content changes and as behaviors change and as the socio-political environment changes for the better or worse, depending on who you are, then different things will go viral. So I think it's here to stay, but I don't think we can predict what that looks like. And I hope that because of the way that content is being created now, it will mean that only things that really matter or are interesting or are funny genuinely will become very popular.
So I think what you said, if anything, reinforces my belief that I'm short, because things that are genuinely funny or enjoyable,
such short supply at the moment.
But also
everything's not funny and nothing's enjoyable.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Everything has sucked recently. But like that varies massively. So what I find funny and enjoyable, and what you find funny and enjoyable, and what your kids find funny and enjoyable, varies enormously. And I genuinely believe the only rational business model shift that and let's just stick with social media for the moment, because that's the channel where most of this stuff happens. The only rational shift they can to bring consumers back is to make it more hyper personalized, so you have more of an enjoyable time, and you're not push things that you don't want to see or whatever, which has all sorts of ethical challenges attached to it too. Like the echo chamber, political echo chamber stuff, right? So someone who leans right wing in year one, by year 5 of using social media is now massively right wing, because they've just been pushed and pushed and pushed down that road. So that becomes a bigger problem because it's more personalized and curated. But because it's more personalized and curated, the idea that we will all collectively experience the amount of things that have gone viral at the same time and at the same pace, I think is less likely.
It's a good point, actually, because I was reading a Reddit thread the other day on... So I can't remember what subreddit it was. Somebody said, what sort of film is no longer credible anymore, that there's just not been a good one? And what is the film that killed it? And I was expecting to see something like Westerns, superhero movies is just a saturation of superhero movies.
Yeah.
But the most prevalent one that people were saying was comedy. There's just no good comedies anymore. And I think that's because of the division in society that exists, the kind of the risk of cancellation, and just differing views on what's funny. There doesn't seem to be any kind of blockbuster comedies out there anymore. And if there are, they're so tame and neutral that they're not really very funny. So things have moved towards kind of more dramas with a little bit of some quips in them, a superhero film that's mildly amusing. But there's not really any like sketch shows that are that funny anymore. It's kind of moved to that influencer kind of, oh, I'm a comedian, but actually, or I'm a prankster, but actually I'm just being really mean to people. In that sense, I agree with you. Right, that reinforces your point.
That content is being pushed towards you for a reason, Duncan.
Well, because I'm a horrible person.
You're mean. Yeah. I mean, it's likely that you might go through it scathingly. So my nan used to do this, Duncan. My nan used to watch stuff that would get her blood pressure up, and she'd be like screaming at the telly, and you'd be like, "Why are you watching it? You can't enjoy it." She'd be like, "Oh, I have to. It annoys me so much." So she actually got pleasure, conversely, about being.
It's like watching a horror film, like being terrified and enjoying it. Yeah.
That was the emotion she was craving, was just sheer annoyance at what's going on.
Sorry, carry on.
Well, and what you've described is exactly what I think. So I watch the videos I consume are very obscure, what I find very, very funny sketch shows. So one of the most popular is I Think You Should Leave, which I think is so funny. Like I absolutely love it. I am yet to meet more than, I'd say, 5 people that like it in the same way I do.
I found some of it mildly amusing, but it doesn't really speak to me.
But the spectrum, and again, this is what I think just the abundance of content we'll see, but also how it is curated towards the right audience will mean that I will be round the water cooler being like, "Oh, can you believe that scene on I Think You Should Leave?" And it will be a deafening silence.
Well, I'll just be like, "Well, he's being weird again."
That's right. Why is he? We don't even have a water cooler. He just keeps standing around.
Yeah, we work at home.
He keeps standing up. But you'll have a very different one. You'll be like, "Oh my god, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. That's amazing comedy program." And then you have that kind of that massive tail of content that you talked about. It's like influencer content, people doing pranks that are mean, and people doing pranks that are nice, because that is like a counterculture now. Is people doing pranks where it's like, "Oh, you fell for it. Here's, £10,000. I'm going to change your life."
I wish I'd see that person.
Yeah, and that would. Well, if you consume more of it, and it'll be curated towards you.
Yeah. It's interesting because I somehow stumbled across an episode of You've Been Framed the other day, and for those of you that don't know what that is, it's basically you would send in a camcorder clip of like some funny incident, and you'd get paid £250. And it was just a clip of a series of what became fails, right? And I was watching that, and some of them that people were laughing at, or at least they put the canned laughter over, genuinely looked like horrific accidents in retrospect. Yeah. And it's like, that person would be like injured for life.
Yeah, like 4-year-old falling through ice.
Yeah. So I think things have changed in that sense. So comedy, people are concerned about cancellation. People are just find different things funny now. Things that were acceptable even like 10 years ago, no longer acceptable now. But I doubt that those individual things that speak to the collective consciousness of a country or a region or even the world will entirely go away. I think they'll just be more powerful as content is much more personalized. Those things will stick out even more. So I'm still long.
Well, let me ask a slightly different. So we've both mentioned the snowball effect, right? Mm-hmm. Which is an incredibly important part of this, because there's just so much stuff. I mean, look, how many hours of footage on TikTok alone? Yeah, billions of hours. I don't know. Let's millions to billions. Who can say? A big part is like you finding it, being like, "Oh, that was good," and engaging with it. And then me finding it, like, "Oh, okay, that was interesting," and engaging with it. And then enough people doing it that it gets that kind of center of mass that gets the algorithm, which plays an important role, to be like, "Oh, something's happening here. Let's start, nudging this. If Duncan and Ollie like it, then it makes sense that, Duncan's wife will like it or whatever." If that part is watered down massively by personalized content, so the likelihood of me seeing it to start off with is less. Your likelihood of seeing it is the same. My likelihood of seeing it is yes. Then that snowball moment takes. Did I say it's less? It's less.
Sorry.
That snowball moment. That like the as it kind of builds up mass takes much longer. Now, combine that with a second issue, which we know because of our podcastery, which is that you post it online, you get quite a little buzz of traffic. And then because there's just so much fresh content coming out all the time, you're nudged down, right? Because there's 400 other podcasts that have launched that day and whatever. So you kind of get pushed to the sidelines. Both those factors combined make it quite difficult to imagine a world where we will end up all gathering around the same thing that often. I still think it'll happen. But I can't see it happening that often. And actually, there's a point where it's like, is that a sad thing? Is that quite sad? That we all don't have those moments where we're like, everyone around the water cooler, every kid on the playground, talking about that, the Simpsons episode or something. Is that sad?
I was watching a TV program called Rivals on Disney, I think it was, and it was about like 80s TV. And there was quite an interesting speech at the end where the guy was talking about how back in the day, we would gather around the fire for stories as a kind of collective human experience. And today, it's quite a good show. This doesn't tell you exactly what it's all about, but back in the day, it was the fire, and in the 80s at least, it became the TV. That's where you'd gather around as a group to kind of get your stories from. Where is that now? Is it everybody individually looking at their phones? Like they're all sitting together, but they're all looking at different things. Like there's no kind of collective experience anymore. And I think we are agreeing, but I think we're kind of coming at this from a different aspect, which is I still believe things will go viral and become popular, but those things will be hopefully of higher quality and even more popular than things go today. And you're saying, but there'll be way fewer of them. Yeah.
I think they'll still exist, but I think it'll just be much structurally. I think it'll be much less common.
Yeah,
and it all depends. I mean, realistically speaking, the social media giants. Not that it's all about social media, but just for the sake of ease, the social media giants would really, really, really like it for there to be more of these moments.
Yeah.
For the simple reason, I'm not really on any social media, but I get sent videos all the time over WhatsApp by my friends. That kind of organic engagement that you were talking about, and I can't see them because I'm not on Facebook. So I click the link and it goes, you'll have to log into Facebook to see this. And so they would love it for there to be a social moment where I can't not have Facebook or Instagram anymore to see this thing that everyone else has seen. Right? In practice, you just go to YouTube, or there's other ways of finding it. But let's say for this specific cultural moment there isn't, and you have to go to Facebook. They would love that, and they will do everything they can to engineer that being possible, which is the counterpoint to what I'm saying. I'm saying I can't imagine this happening. But
I don't know if they're engineering that in the right way, because at the moment they're engineering it by, Facebook was planning to kind of populate its service with AI influencers that would hopefully people would engage with and potentially create viral moments. But maybe those viral moments will be, oh gosh, this AI influencer has gone completely mad and said something really ridiculous. They will be things that they don't want them to say. But then that goes to there's no such thing as bad publicity. So perhaps it will work.
It's not gonna woo me back to Facebook, but this stuff changes so quick. I go through periods where I'm not on, so like quite extended periods. I can remember I was on Facebook for a brief bit during my teens, and that was all about posting pictures of each other and being like, "Hey Duncan, let's go to the the cinema or whatever it was."
That you didn't see anymore.
Maybe a bit of stalking, but not that much. Not as much. Not
as much as you do now.
Yeah, well, quite. Yeah, I do way more now. But it was that kind of a game, and I went off of it for about 4 or 5 years, and then went back on it. And literally, in my view, as an outsider, just back on it, all it was people just commenting under stuff, being like, at Duncan, at Ollie, like a funny video or an offer.
Yeah.
And now I'm off of it again. And maybe, in another 5 years, and I've been off it for a little while, but let's say I go back on it in 5 years' time, it could just be an AI-driven hellscape where the only people I can engage with are bots. The only way of me interacting with you would be via some sort of intermediary, some AI intermediary or something like that.
Yeah.
And that to me doesn't
speak to my personal assistant if you want to tell me a funny joke.
Yeah. And what I think's interesting about what we both agree on is that our bet for the big moments that are there, they'll be authentic.
Yeah.
You know, there are a lot of incredible... Was it Charlie Bit My Finger being like one of the most classic examples of something going viral? Was like a 30-second video of a kid biting another kid's finger.
Yeah.
And just the insanity of the human mind was like, that's the best thing I've ever seen. And it still ranks as one of the best videos out there.
And,
so
and you can't really explain why that was so massively popular.
No, I
a bit like you can't really explain why Taylor Swift is that popular.
Yeah, that's also true. Taylor, if you're listening.
Sorry, Taylor.
I'm with Duncan on this one,
actually. It's just a joke.
Yeah, is it?
Sorry, Taylor. All right, cool. All right, well, let's. I think we're both we've kind of gone from opposite sides and met in the middle, and then pushed away a little bit again.
I don't think that at all.
Oh, all right.
I think I've held firm. I think I've held really firm.
But that was good. Hopefully, we'll now be at 15 listeners. Thanks, Taylor. And we look forward to the next episode. So thanks for listening. Say bye, Ollie.
Cheerio.
See you later.